What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Obu Godswill Uche. I'm super excited to be here doing this with you guys. And today I have a special guest with me. Her name is
Erica.
Okay, guys. Today, without wasting much of your time, we'll be reacting to 10 things not to do in Delhi, India. You must see before you go. So if you plan on going to India, Delhi, there's some things you should check out or you should note before going. So let's run right into this.
Okay, so we just experienced a pretty common Delhi scam where they take you to a department store called Delhi Hut, as opposed to the actual market, which is called Dilli Hut, spelled D-I-L-L-I. And they obviously get a cut from whatever you buy in that store. So now you know. When you say culture shock, chaos, and scams, the first thing you might think of is India.
Yeah.
But the country is also home to some of the friendliest people in the world, killer street food, and stunning monuments. There's so much to unpack when it comes to India. But before you go, you're going to need to know a couple of things. Here are 11 things not to do in India. Number 1. Taxi scams. This is probably the first thing that you'll run into while in India. And the way it works is you land at the airport, hop in a cab, and tell him your destination. At which point he tells you that the place you're going to is closed, relocated, or, and I swear I'm not making this up, one time a taxi driver told me that my hotel had burned down. And of course all of this is done to get you to go to a different hotel or a different place in which the driver will get a small percentage of whatever you buy there. Basically a finder's fee. The easiest way to avoid this is just to use Uber. That way you know you're getting the best price and the safest ride. Number 2, pick a hand. Now this is a common misconception, and many people will tell you not to use your left hand while in India to do almost anything. Now this is actually only partly true. A better way of putting it is not to use both hands for everything. That's because most Indians don't use tissues or toilet paper in the bathroom. And, well, you get the idea. Now as a foreigner, that may not matter when you're visiting. If you want to be culturally correct, just pick one hand and use that. For example, if you're right-handed, only use your right hand to pick up food. Or if you're left-handed, only use your left hand to pick up food. There are thousands of left-handed people in India, so I always find it funny when people say don't use your left hand. Number 3. Don't drink the water. Now this is probably the most obvious and probably the most important rule. Almost nowhere is drinking tap water safe in India, and you should only be drinking bottled water while you're there. Now typically the water quality is so bad that you even have to look out for eating fresh vegetables that have been washed using the water. So when it comes to street food especially, only eat things that you know have been cooked. Number 4, don't disrespect the cow. The cow is sacred in Hinduism, and millions of Hindus worship the cow as a goddess. Therefore, the cow is considered a sacred animal, as it provides them life by continuously providing milk. Because of that, beef is not incorporated into the Indian diet at all. And if a cow walks into the middle of the street and blocks all of the traffic, no one will touch it. They'll either wait for it to move or politely try and move around it. It's actually kind of hilarious to watch. So if you see one, and you likely will, try and be as respectful as possible.
Okay, so with this cow issue, I think I can confirm it's true because a friend of mine schools in India and she told me one time that, the time she was on the road and they had to go, there was heavy traffic, waiting for them to get closer, and they found out that it was because some cows were blocking the road and people wouldn't touch it. They'd rather go turn around to pass because they are, it's considered sacred, and also they don't eat beef. It's hard for you to get beef in India because most places the cow is revered as sacred, so you don't touch it. And picking a hand, when he talked about picking a hand, most people are either left or right-handed. But in Africa, because of the way we are taught, especially in the west part of Africa, you're supposed to be right-handed. Your mom, your dad tries to correct you when you're younger. So if you're taking something by your left, they will try to force you to use your right, you know. And even when you greet, even in Ghana here, in the Akan, I think, you don't greet someone or wave to someone with your left hand because they seem it disrespectful, and the left hand is used for other dirty things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Africa, we understand being right-handed, but outside, but is glad to or is new to hear you can use any hand over in India because yeah, if you are I'm being told oh you have to be right-handed or I'm already right-handed because in Africa we are used to being right-handed. I'm talking about the taxi scam. I mean, when you get to Africa, even at the airport, they try, if you're not careful, you scam, they will try to like, oh, do you have a accommodation? I have one place, and whatever they're taking you to, they're going to increase the price for your stay there, and also because they're going to get a cut. Whatever they do, they're going to get a cut. So it's almost everywhere in the world. If you're not careful, you just have to be very, very careful. And yes, there's the cab hailing app like Uber, Yango, and Boats and the rest of that. So probably you use that. When you use that, I think you're kind of a bit safer. Yeah, and also make your research before you come into any country because that's where you make your reservations and not that when you come into the country and you're not trying to look for where to stay there, you might end up running into trouble. All right, what do you think?
Yeah, it's true. You said it all. Nothing to add up.
Okay, let's go.
Number 5, count your change. Now this may seem obvious to some of you, but I've run into my fair share of travelers who have a problem with this. And that's since they assume it's a government-run organization, they'll automatically be given back the right amount of change, which is definitely not true in India. For example, when I was visiting Humayun's tomb, which is one of the main attractions in Delhi, the ticket office gave me back 100 less rupees than I should have gotten. And when I noticed and went back to tell them, they didn't even look twice and just gave me another 100 rupees. They didn't even care that I caught them lying. It was just business as usual for them.
It's everywhere, even in Ghana.
We've moved on from cricket, now we're trying to figure out how these exercise machines work.
This one raises some questions.
Alright, you give it a shot.
Number 6, don't be polite. Given that India is a country home to almost 1.3 billion people, personal space doesn't really exist there. And so because of that, you'll find yourself getting pushed around in crowds. Don't take it as an insult or aggressive behavior, it's just their way of doing things. Oh, and you can forget about people lining up in a queue. It's more of a you snooze, you lose mentality. Number 7, don't talk politics. India is one of the most diverse countries in the world, with over 720 different dialects. With so many different cultural nuances, languages, and ideologies, politics can be a tricky subject in India, and you'll find that people will become very animated if you bring it up. In the interest of not offending anyone, I'd recommend maybe toning back the political talk. Even more so when it comes to religion.
So we're not allowed to have beer in this restaurant because they don't have a liquor license, so we're going to hide it in these cups.
Number 8, proper greetings. Now I can say without a doubt that when you go to India, you will meet someone there. And it's important to properly know how to greet them. Generally, instead of shaking hands, people place their hands together flat against their chest and say namaste. Furthermore, men do not shake hands or touch women when greeting them. Indian men will sometimes shake hands, and women will sometimes shake hands with Western women, but there's never a crossover between the two. Number 9, don't point with your feet. In Indian culture, the foot is the lowest part of the body, both literally and symbolically. That means that using your foot to point to anything is considered rude and disrespectful. And even though you probably won't run into that situation when you're traveling, it's still important to know. Number 10, avoid revealing clothing. In 2016, India's Culture and Tourism Minister said that female tourists visiting the country should not wear skirts or other revealing clothes in order to ensure their safety. Now, of course, because he's the tourism minister, his comments are going to be more conservative. But given the relationship between men and women in India, foreign women traveling there should leave their revealing outfits at home in order to not attract unwanted attention.
Okay, so we run into a slight glitch. We lost our driver, Ricky. Ricky's gone. His car's here,
Maybe he lost his car.
and he can't leave without the car, so
We're just gonna wait here for hopefully not too long.
Close call.
So guys, that's it for the video. If you stuck around to the end, thank you, it means a lot. Go ahead and click the video in the top left to see what you should do while in India, and click the video on the bottom to see what you shouldn't do while in Japan.
So what do you think?
Okay, so it's very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. To go to a different country and do what they do. They have a saying that do what
The Romans,
the
when
Romans
you
do. Yes. And it's quite interesting that you shouldn't use your foot to
Point.
point. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I don't know how you do that though, but like, yeah, being said we shouldn't do when you get to their country. So it's quite interesting.
Okay. So another thing I found out is that do not be polite. When they say do not be polite, it means that you should, as much as possible, when they hit you, you know, because it's crowded. Most of the markets are crowded. Most of the streets are crowded. India is one of the most populous countries in the world. So it's not because they mean to be rude, but they are used to that mentality when they on the road or they are going somewhere because of how crowded the place is. So they can hit you, or you might hit someone. Yeah. There's no need of you to go and apologize to the person because of they don't even notice that you did that to them, because that is the way they see things, you know. And also when talking about politics, yes, generally you should be talking when you're talking about politics, especially if you're new to that place, you shouldn't get involved in politics, you know, because in the area you're just new to that place and you don't know, because politics is influenced both by religion and by by religion and culture. So your country's culture and the way they speak about religion, about politics might be different. So you go there and you infuriate people, and yes, because they've had their past and they have their conflicts, so it's better to avoid it totally. And yeah, that's just it. I have to say it's interesting about India, and talking about lining up to, like when you line up to get into a bus or something, it's almost everywhere in Nigeria. They hardly line up. You see people cutting queues and stuff. So it's like when you snooze, you lose. You know, when you delay, you lose out on it. So you have to be sharp. You have to be fast. That's just it. So guys, thank you for sticking with us. I hope you learned something new. I really learned a lot from this video, and I hope you've learned a lot.
Yep.
All right. So if you're going to India, you know the things you shouldn't do when you get to India. All right, guys. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for recommending videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking and commenting. So if you have any videos you want me to react to, just drop that in the comment section. I will definitely react to that. Guys, we'll come away next time. Say
bye.